Ezekiel 47. Going through tonight is the last night of a river that could not be passed over. I wanted to really get this across to you. And to me, it's one of my short versions of my series that I'm accustomed to being in or doing. Didn't intend on going this long, but I like to be thorough as much as I can. I can't exhaust everything that I would like to share, but I would love to give it a shot. No, I'm just kidding. Oh boy, I was just kidding, y'all. I was just kidding. No, I wouldn't. We're going to start tonight on verse 6. We're going to Ezekiel 47 and 6. We're going to start at the verse 6. I don't know about you, but I'm sensing in my belly, in my life, unction from the throne. You know, one thing about the throne, I know we like to have it all mystical and everything, and we want to reserve it from some type of fanatical experience, but the Hebraic mind, which is the original mind, which is the Orthodox mind, understood two things. When we read throne, we think of some man on it. Am I right? We're thinking about some dictator, somebody who has the supreme authority. But in their mind, when you say throne, it's known as the seat of personality. The soul, nefesh, is also known as the seat of personality. So to them, when we say that he's on the throne, we're basically saying, and through their lens, is that he's in control of our mind, will, and emotions, which is a composite of our soul. So they make it more personal. You know, it's easy to say he's on the throne, the Lamb is on the throne, and then we can prostrate ourselves, get moved in the spirit and get excited and get the euphoria on. But it's a posture of one's heart towards him that is supreme. Yes. Amen. Therefore, you don't have to wait on 2 days out of a week. You can get it 7 days out of a week. Because then he's always on the throne, not just some generic form of a throne. You know, more of a practical aspect. He's on the throne of my heart. So when I get here and I get a chance to hear the songs like we just had, I'm thinking about areas of my life where he's reigning. He's reigning over this, that. For that, God, I have to lift my hands to you and bless you. From the totality of my being and from the honesty of my heart. With a pure conscience, undefiled. Amen. So we're going to go here. We're going to try to close it out tonight. We laid out some very powerful truths. I'm telling you, I know at the moment it don't feel as though, but I'm telling you, this river that we've dissected over the last couple of months, it's no longer going to be an anomaly. It's not just going to be something that was spoken of in this house. It's going to transpose, it's going to filter through the whole body, because this river ultimately has become a ministry. It's not just that it's to be confined into a building or confined in a theory, so we can take the theory and then we can create some kind of doctrine out of it. It's not a doctrine, although I try to articulate it through doctrine, because that kind of enhances the flow and the diction that comes out of it, you know, the explanation that comes out of it. But in the simplest form, it's an expression of the kingdom of God, and we have to see it as such. You know, praise and worship, preaching, teaching, all that, laying hands on the sick, the work of the ministry, calling out, casting out, whatever, is an extension of the ministry of Jesus Christ. And we know that Jesus is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and we know that he has a kingdom. Amen? Amen. So we have to make sure we keep this teaching in its proper setting. So we won't denigrate anything less than what the intent of this series was all about, okay? So we got to get it at, we got to resonate in our spirits. It really has to. So Ezekiel 47 and 6. Now, after all the increments for verse 1 through 5, we know the increments, all the levels. We talked about the cubits and all that. And then we get here to 6, it says,
And he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen this? Then he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. So he
brought him back to the brink of the river. We explained what the brink was. Brink is not necessarily meaning the edge of the river. We said on a more practical, we said that Greek was the language of the live. If you went back to study it, to prove it, I know some of you guys would. It does talk about language, and I believe that's what God is bringing up for people that's going to be able to articulate. And I said that every denomination has a language. Every movement has a language. You know, faith movement has a language. Am I right? Charismatic movement had a language. And some of the terms, what they did, it just expounded on mainline denominations. You know, when you came into charismatic, normally you started off as a Baptist, one of the Protestant churches. Am I right? But then somewhere along the line you had an experience with the Holy Ghost. You didn't throw that stuff out. You just brought it to a greater light. Amen? Amen. And that's what God, and that's what this drink means. So, and then we talked about how that it's called, how he was brought. Ezekiel was brought. All through the book of Ezekiel, always talking about he was brought. So it wasn't anything he created a cause. It was a sovereign move of God to bring him to that place that he could discover the flow of this river and the intent of where this river has a destination. It's not just to be confined within the temple, as I said. And it said, verse 7.
Now when I had returned, behold, at the bank of the river were very many trees on the one side and on the other. Then said he unto me, these waters issue out towards the east country, and go down into the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the waters shall be healed.
The water's going to be what? Healed. How are the waters healed? If the waters are healed, it's been brought out into what? Into the sea. Humanity. The sea is humanity. The sea is humanity. Isaiah 57, 20, 21 talks about it. Says that those that are not born again, the wicked are as the sea. And then Isaiah 60 talks about that the forces of the sea is going to be brought to us. So it's got to be metaphoric language, because there's no, the forces in Hebrew means wealth. So the wealth of the sea. How many know we're not talking about clams and oysters? You get what I'm saying? We think, well, okay, what forces? No. We're not talking about tsunamis and none of that. It's a spiritual, metaphoric language. And it's the unredeemed. That's why you hear scripture says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for who? The just. The same concept, just in a different place. Remember we said, if you go to one place in the Bible, you can always go to another book to confirm it. You got 66 books that we can go through, and as we go through and let the Spirit of God create a tapestry, we can go to the book of Revelation and go through the 65 other books and solve the book of Revelation. We don't have to have nobody to tell us what it said, because we can just go through the imagery that is set forth in the book of Revelation. Amen? Yeah. So it says it's going to go through the desert and the sea, and we spoke on that. We said, how many know that we're not in the desert? This house is not in a desert. Tell your neighbor, no, we're not. No, we're not a very dry place. We don't lack water. We don't have wild things. Wild things. Y'all stay safe. But we don't have wild things. We don't have the beasts of the forest. We don't have the creatures at night. We're not a desert. We have a continual flow. Why? Because we are comprised, and we make up the temple. And out of us flows the river of life to the desert. And that's people who are outside of the range of the temple, but yet within reach of the river. And who is that? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. They within range of the river, but they outside the scope of the temple. There's nothing common in the temple, but yet the river wants to reach out to them. And it's nothing exclusive of us reaching out to them. I think it's phony to be called to have an outreach program and your reach is not out.
Come on now.
Just have it in labels so you can tell them, we got an outreach program. No. We need to, if we're going to have a program, we're going to have a structure in place. It's got to be effective. And it's got to fulfill its design. Amen. And it's got to happen. I'm really, that's my main emphasis. I don't mind teaching and training and having schools and all that, but I want what we carry to trickle down. You know what I'm saying? To have an expression. but it's going to be, the expression is not going to come from God. It's going to come from God, the God in us. As we learn to activate and release Him to humanity. That's the desert and the sea. Amen. So we talked about, I'm going to leave the desert and the sea because I need to get done with these last 3 verses, 10, 11, and 12. Verse 9.
And it shall come to pass that everything that liveth, which moveth whithersoever the river shall come, shall live, and there shall be a very great multitude of fish, because these waters shall come thither. For they shall be healed, and everything shall live whither the river cometh.
But the fruit of this flow is going to bring a great harvest of fish. I'm telling you. You know, a lot of churches waiting on the harvest. That's what everybody's saying. Okay, the harvest is coming. The harvest is coming. We got to get ready. We got to get prepared. But I'm here to tell you that if you look at the whole canon of Scripture, you'll find out the harvest is not necessarily an increase. The harvest is a maturity. Jesus said in Matthew 13, right? He said he sowed the tares. I mean, he didn't sow the tares. Oh, Lord. The enemy, the devil sowed the tares. He sowed the wheat in the world, which was the sons of the kingdom in the world, not away. I know the church got us leaving them alone, but Jesus' intention was to sow us into the world, into the system. But the devil came in and wanted to mimic what the wheat represented. And you look at that last, I think 45 to 50 or somewhere around there, it talks about how the harvest is the end of the age. And that word harvest is a maturity. It's the sons of God, and in the last part it talks about they're going to reflect as the Son. So whatever Jesus started, whatever Jesus was in representation, those wheat is going to mature. And then, like I told you before, every harvest has a seed. The seed is the blueprint of the harvest. Jesus is the seed. He's waiting on the harvest. You get what I'm saying? He's not waiting on us to get out of here. He's waiting on the harvest. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, he shall also reap. I know we use that on negative connotation, but it's not necessarily just talking about that. It's talking about God is not mocked. So whatever he